Welcome to another edition of SoundChat with IRISHANDCHIN. Interviewing some of the legends, Kingston, Jamaica, in the Garrison. Strictly sound system culture, living legend in the sound clash world. Original Joe Lickshot, Jimmy Metro, the owner of Metro Media. Man himself, Cutty Ranks. Welcome to another edition of SoundChat, and this week is a special week because I get to talk to someone that many haven't spoken to in a while. I've been looking for him all over the place, finally found him. I'm here in London, England, and I'm sitting next to Dominique. Dominique, dancehall veteran. Dominique, we're going to chop it up. We're going to talk about the sound system culture. We're going to talk about, its place in the music. Dominique, what's good?
Well, everything is everything. We're still involved in the business, still travel to Jamaica regularly.
Wow.
And still doing our thing, but different aspects still. As you know, before I was involved actually in being an MC, working on sound systems. I was a journalist and worked with Black Echoes and various magazines. Started my own magazine around the end of the 90s, carried it up into the millennium. Run a little label off the background of that, bringing through some new artists. And we went back to Jamaica and started doing more music like the old days and all of that, but we're still about.
You talk about the old days, and this is definitely what I want to recapture for a lot of the people who might not be familiar with your career, and those who are fans of you. You are one of those artists that I've been getting so much requests to talk to find out about your story. Now, when did it start for you as an MC?
Right, well, it basically started when I went to Jamaica in 1983, and I went amongst a crew like Volcano, Billy Boyo, John Jalors, Little John, Toyan, and I went to stay with them in Oakland Road, Kingston 11, and they give me the microphone to chat lyrics, and it was more like a joke, it's just like a little fun thing, and they had a little dance every Thursday night, the Thursday night fight down Macquarie Lane. That was with Little John's sound system called Romantic. So I started there, and Barrington Levy heard me, and he wanted to try and get me to sing. That wasn't happening.
Singing thing wouldn't work out.
The voice flat like the road. So anyway, I had interest, went back to England, having secured a few interviews with the underground artists at the time who were Frankie Paul, Michael Palmer, people like that. Went back to Jamaica a year later. This time I'd written a few more lyrics, started DJing Soul Imperial, Kilimanjaro. It was the first big sound I ever talked on. That was in 1984. Came back to England and started DJing on Saxon, but that was just like a little early on in the dance, get a one talk off the mic or whatever. So it was kind of early days. And I then went back to Jamaica in 86. I got in some trouble with the police, so I got wrongly convicted of a crime that I didn't do. And while I was sitting in jail, I sat down and I thought, well, you've got to take charge of your life. And you've got an opportunity, go back to Jamaica and learn the craft where it really started. So I went back to Arnott Garden, which was Trench Town, jungle, and I was amongst people like George Pang and Peter Metro. And Peter Metro was really the person who taught me how to DJ. At that point, I'd been chatting on the mic, learned a few little tips from people like Levi and Tipperary on Saxon. But Metro actually sat me down and schooled me about the whole thing. You could have the best lyrics in the world. You could have lyrics that are intellectually superior to anyone. Pythagoras' theorem, you could be like Albert Einstein on the mic. But don't mean nothing if you're not entertaining the crowd.
Right.
And Peter told me that, and he also showed me that when you go on stage, the first 5 seconds is the most important. You've got to grab that crowd. So I'll always be grateful to Metro for teaching me that, and started up on Metro Media Sound. And I'll be honest with you, at the start it was a novelty. The fact that I was white, I could have been saying anything. And
let me ask you this: were you the first white DJ?
Not at all, no.
Were there was someone before you?
Yeah, I mean, if you look back, it depends what you call a DJ and MC, because
MC.
Yeah, the first white DJ and very successful was a man called Judge Dredd, And that goes back to the days of sort of Trojan and the 70s, when reggae music was very popular in the charts. We had people like Johnny Nash and Ken Booth went to #1 with Everything I Own. So Judge Dredd rode off the back of that. And he was more like, if you hear our chat on Cockney and Yardie, he was more of a Cockney kind of DJ. But I suppose you could say, one of the first white DJs. Then they had a youth called Snowman that came up through Jam Down Rockers. He'd done a couple of big PAs at like Radio London Soul Night Out and stuff like that. But, you know, he didn't really make it to the recording stage. And I suppose I was like the first to actually go to Jamaica and
take the craft from the root.
Yeah, and do it back in the dances.
Bring it back in the dances and come up now.
We're getting very wet. Very English. Lots of tears, lots of rain.
You said that in the beginning you thought it was like a nostalgia. People probably liked you because you
nostalgia, a novelty, like.
A novelty, yeah.
Obviously it was. You know, there's no getting away from that. But the same way that like when NWA and Ice Cube and people like this started using like the N-word in hip hop, there was a lot of white people in Middle America that were loving it.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh yeah, you know, and you know, not so much on that level, but on another viewpoint, it's like some people would see that, and it was a novelty. And I always felt, well, I wanted to go past that and actually like prove myself. So I didn't do that many recordings. I didn't do the obvious things that could have been done, like a lot of commercial, girly kind of lyrics. And when I went to New York in '88, I started moving with KRS-One. It's alright. And I've done the Apollo Theatre several times. Done the Palladium with Sinead O'Connor and all that. And we got, I mean, the one strength I do have, not blowing my own trumpet, is live performances. Record-wise, you know, a couple of good records, but we're still working on it, you know.
Now, when you say you were performing with KRS and Sinead O'Connor and so forth, you were doing dancehall at the time?
Yeah, I was doing
dancehall at the time.
Yeah.
So from that point, there was fusion then. The business was already starting to fuse.
Yeah, I mean, hip hop and reggae fused because actually the man who created hip hop, Kool Herc, is a Jamaican, and he took his sound system to New York, to the South Bronx, and he started like chatting, or toasting as it was called back then. But the American kids couldn't understand it, so he had to twang, you know, he had to do it in the Yankee style. And that's sort of the beginnings. Not just that, you had people like Gil Scott-Heron, the Last Poets, that sort of contributed to the development of rap. So Jamaicans and Jamaica culture has always been fundamental in the development of hip hop.
Right.
And it's quite funny that people now say, oh yeah, you know, like when I was in New York in '87, '88, that's when suddenly all the hip hop people were getting into reggae. You know, you had Jamalski, you had KRS-One. There was a lot of rap artists. We've done a lot of shows with rap artists. Me, Flower Gun, Papa Sam, we worked with Poor Righteous Teachers, Tribe Called Quest, all over. There are shows all over the place, you know. And the crowd were going for our style of lyrics as opposed to the rap thing.
As opposed to the rap thing. So how does Dominique become this you know, this big nostalgia in the dancehall? Like, what point do you perfect the craft after Peter Metro sits you down?
I don't know even if I've perfected the craft to this day. I think as an artist, no matter what you're doing, whether it's music, poetry, painting pictures, designing clothes, whatever you do, if you're a creative person, you always have to keep checking yourself. You always want to improve yourself. So there's very few records that I've made that I'm never really truly satisfied with. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I've perfected my craft or not. It depends what is perfect. What's the definition of perfect?
Definition of perfect.
Right.
So when does things start to change for you? Where you now become an artist, where you're starting to have a fan base in Jamaica, and you know, I know you were traveling on Metro Media sound system. Who was on the sound system at that time, by the way? Peter Metro?
Yeah, Peter Metro. We had a guy called Ashman, great DJ, brilliant. Had lyrics books piled up. Unfortunately, he was shot and killed in Texas. Great DJ. Tonto Metro, who's risen up to become a star in his own right with Devontae. Danny Dredd, brilliant artist, underrated. Daddy Life, who also lost his life, no pun intended there, in New York. He was a good DJ. And then people like Puddy Roots came in from Jaro, and Japanese, who used to be on Romantic, Little John sound that I was talking about. He come in on the crew. He since emigrated and he now lives in Canada. But we all keep in touch, all of us, you know what I mean? And we had Dr. C as well, which was a singer that we brought over from Westmoreland, and he come and lived in my house in Arnott Garden in Jungle. Unfortunately, Dr. C, you know, a lot of people don't like to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it, died from an illness related to HIV, and you've got to be careful nowadays. Don't seem to think that it's only one type of people that carry them sitting there. You know, Jamaica's a place I love, and I love Jamaica people, but I'm horrified about how not just Dr. C, but various people lost their lives through that. You know.
What was a regular Metro Media night like with you and your crew?
The controller of things, if he was in the island at the time, would be Peter, and his idea was basically everyone got a chance to chat on the mic, one lyric. If you didn't get a forward, you're off. Right. Yeah? So it's no star time, no who's bigger than who, even if you've just come back from New York or you've got a new gold chain or whatever. It was all about being able to keep that entertainment continuity going. And that's what made Metro Media basically get the title of the year-to-year sound, because all those names I've mentioned to you, apart from maybe Peter Metro and myself and a few others, there weren't no big major stars, like in the sense of selling astronomical amounts of records, Ashman, Daddy Life or whatever, but we could all hold our own in a dance hall, all of us, as far as entertaining. And I can stand up and say that to anyone. You know, similar crew probably would be Stereo One, who apart from Stitchy and maybe Wolfman, they didn't really have no big names, but they entertained and they held it for a good little while. You know what I mean? So, you know, I mean, that was basically it. But then everything changed around. When would you say it changed? 89, 90, around that time, when it become from like DJs to juggling. That was about the time. It
started to make the transition.
Yeah, and obviously Jimmy James, who owns Metro Media Sound, had the vision and the foresight to see that he had to go with what was going on. You know, Metro Media always getting bookings of lots and lots of what you call soul sounds, Inner City, Aries, Classic, Stone Love from back in the day before they were big. So it made sense for him to like go with the dub plate thing, and that's what he did. And every so often the DJs would come along like there's a country dance or whatever. And then we brought in Oliver. We brought Oliver in from White Star. He's a great juggling selector. He really sort of took Metro Media to another level. And then, you know, life, things happen. As I said, I've done my own little label, had my magazine running, lost contact with everybody. We've done a little dance over in HQ Club in Hackney with Jaro, and then me, Peter and Oliver hooked up, and Metro Media played against Jammies, Scorpio, Love Injection, Coxon. There's another sound as well. So like there was this dances at the Coronet, and Metro Media basically carried the day, and it's just me and Peter DJing and Oliver playing the selections. So
let's talk about the glory. Or the glory days, or the hype days of Dominique and Peter Metro. Of course, I had the pleasure of speaking to Peter Metro, a couple months ago, about you and him being a team on Metro Media Sound System. We spoke about Stitchy, right? We spoke about the whole Stereo One thing. Peter was saying that one of the artists that he was intimidated by and very afraid to DJ against was Stitchy. Yeah, he admitted that, you and him made the perfect team, but he said that, anyone else in Metro Media would take on. Papa San, General Trees, all of those other camps. But he said for some particular reason, he just never wanted to face out with Stitchy. And he was saying, other than, himself and yourself, there was nobody else that was really bringing the fire like how you and him was bringing the fire at the time, right?
Stitchy, it weren't Stitchy alone. Stitchy had a second, and a lot of people underrate this man. He even before Shabba and Butcher, he come with a heavy voice. There's a guy called Jonathan Wolfman. Yeah. He's a brilliant DJ. So it was Wolfman and Stitchy really that carried it. And when Wolfman stayed in the States and didn't come back, and Stitchy like signed to Atlantic, you know, people seem to think if you sign a contract with a major label, your career is going to take off. Sometimes they don't know how to promote reggae artists. You know what I mean? They don't know how to. Look what happened when Yellowman got signed to CBS. You know, all of it. Junior Tucker got signed to Virgin. All of this stuff. So, you know, but I'm not going to front. There wasn't any DJ particularly in my peak or at the height of my career that I was scared.
That you were scared of?
No. You know, I clashed against Admiral. I clashed against Charlie Chaplin, a very well-known clash at Hot Shot. I said some things that landed me in hot water.
Let's talk about that. It's years after. Let's talk about that. I want to get down to, you know, the Dominic and the impact that we know. We've been beating around the bush. Right. We've been beating around the bush for a while. Let's talk now.
Okay, right. What happened, right? Chaplin is an Arms House DJ. He loves it, right? Yeah. He loves the Arms House, and that's cool. But he was chatting the lyrics at Fort Clarence that was disrespectful to me and Peter Metro. I never said nothing to Chaplin, so I thought, hold up, that's not right. And I thought, well, I need to sort of get my own back on this. And so I went to the dance. I didn't go to the dance. I went to the show, Hot Shot, and I went up there and I chatted some lyrics that a lot of people were very offended that a non-Jamaican would imply such things about a Rasta man. But it was all done not in...
No point in dancing, yeah.
But some people, you know, even a well-known record distributor from Sonic Sound said, oh, you come here and disrespect people, and I sort of had to take a little look into myself and think, well, they have a saying, Puss and Dog don't have the same luck. So you might hear a Jamaican artist cussing another Jamaican. You try and cuss him in the same way, you might start losing some of your fan base.
Right.
Now, the Father, the Almighty, has an amazing way of working things. As I come off stage, Josie Wells went on stage and started telling everyone about how, you know, I was disrespectful, and no, his exact words were, and little Dominic, who's pissed I even reached South Lane yet. Right? No, Josie's my brethren, man, yeah? And everyone turned around and looked at me as I was leaving. And it was all a big hoo-ha. But that's cool, you know what I mean? It's about battling. And the following weekend I had to go and do a dance in Miami, and Charlie Chaplin was on the bill, and so was Josie Wales. Peter Metro was meant to be on the bill, but he pulled out at the last minute. So here I am doing a show
without Peter.
Yeah, with two DJs who I've like had words with. When I arrive on the plane, I'm sitting right next to Charlie Chaplin. Yeah, Charlie's just laughing. When we go to the hotel, me and him are in the same hotel room together. He sat down basically and said, listen, Dominic, my granny grew me in Jamaica. I love the Arms House. You know, I cuss this DJ, that DJ, Professor Nuts, I call him Professor Nutmeg. And he was more interested in reading the scriptures and praying, because the Pope was visiting Miami that same weekend, and he felt obviously that the Pope visiting Miami was a greater concern than him and Dominic having a little lyrical feud.
Right.
And non-surprisingly, after Charlie finished his praying, there was a big downpour, a thunderstorm, so we wet off the Pope. And we went to the dance, and all three of us DJ'd, and you know, there's no hard feelings, and it was good, you know what I mean? But yeah, I clashed with pretty much any DJ. I clashed with Ninja Man once. To tell the truth, he sort of got the better of the whole situation. But I still gave him as good as I got, and that was at a dance in Arnott Garden in Jungle. And Ninja Man went on the mic, and it was a time when there was an area war between two parts of Arnott Garden were fighting each other. And he said, Dominic, which two areas are fighting? And I said, oh, these men and these men are fighting. He said, well, I want you to call the two area leaders from the two different parts to come up here and shake hands. And I'm thinking, Ninja Man, you're not Bob Marley, like, you know, steady on. The man then weren't very pleased about that. They grabbed the mic off Ninja and like, and all of that. So in order to sort of calm the situation, me and Ninja created a mini sort of clash thing together. You know what I mean? But again, it was always done in good spirits. You know what I mean?
Papa San.
Papa San, I've never clashed with San because he would probably get the better of me without that. And he's one of the people that really showed me about the cussing thing. You know what I mean? And he said, listen, you don't have no mercy on anyone. But then a lot of people take it personal. Nicodemus once said to me, "Oh, Dominic Stowe, anyone talk bad about me, me thump them in them face." And he probably would.
Come on, listen the yardie, listen the cocky, listen the blackie, listen the whitey, listen the yardie, listen the cocky, listen Dominique, and make sure pizza. Patois is a language from Jamaica, but in England them talk in a different fashion. Now listen Dominique as the true white man.